Hello, happy to be with you again. Today, we'll deal with the last course about ethics in business. We will see vocabulary, grammar, and sound system. Hello, Mrs. Ben Khalil.
Hello, Mr. Dahmas.
What are we going to see in vocabulary today?
Today we are going to match words and their definitions.
Right.
Hello, everybody. Right, let's start our work. We have already done this type of activity, so you know now that we have to pay attention to the category of word you are matching. But this time you are matching them with their definitions. Pay attention. Right, let's start. Nepotism and favorism must be combated. John illegally took money from his company and was accused of embezzlement. Most shareholders of this company have invested huge sums of money. The Algerian customs officers are working hard to arrest smugglers. Stakeholders include not only the shareholders, but the members of the community as a whole. Now we are going to match the words that were underlined in these sentences with their definitions. Let's start. Nepotism, embezzlement, shareholders, smugglers, stakeholders. Now consider these words. The first word and the second are both nouns in the singular. The three other words, shareholders, smugglers, and stakeholders, are nouns in the plural. Let's read now the definitions and see which definition starts with nouns in the singular and which one represent words in the plural. This is the first step of the exercise. Right. People who get goods secretly and illegally into or out of a country. So it starts with a plural noun. The second definition, the giving of special favor, especially employment, by a person in high position to his relatives or friends. This is a singular. The third one, people who have interests in a company like employers, employees, and the members of the community. This time again, we have a word in the plural, A type of fraud where someone gets money illegally from his employer. Now, this is a singular word. And the last definition, people who invest money in a company, and also it starts with a plural noun. As you can see, two of the definitions start with a plural word. Which ones are they? Right. Definition C, people who have interests, and definition E, people who invest money. Which words start with a singular noun? Right. This time we have the giving of special favor, which is definition B, and definition D, a type of fraud. And only one definition starts with a verb, so this one is very clear. Shall we correct? All right. Let's correct now. Nepotism, which is the giving of special favor, especially employment, by a person in high position to his relatives or friends. The second noun, which is in the singular, embezzlement, a type of fraud where someone gets money illegally from his employer. Now a plural noun, the shareholders. Who are they? They are people who invest money in a company. The only verb, to smuggle, which is to get goods secretly and illegally into or out of a country. And the last word, the stakeholders, people who have interests in a company like the employers, employees, and the members of the community. Right? That's all for our vocabulary exercise, Mr. Dahmas.
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil. The second part of our lesson today deals with grammar. You certainly remember the link words that help you express consequence, don't you? Good. We can express consequence with so, therefore, as a result, consequently. But we can also express consequence with the use of so that and such that. And Mrs. Ben Khalil will tell you more.
All right. So today our lesson will start with expressing consequence or result using so, that, and such, that. Let's start reading the two examples first. Imitations are so cheap that some consumers are tempted to buy them. Imitations are such cheap products that some consumers are tempted to buy them. What do the clauses that come after so that and such that express? Yes, they express consequence, as we have just said before. What do you notice after so, and what word do we use after such? Good. After so, we have an adjective, cheap. And what do we have after such? Right, a noun phrase that is an adjective and a noun. Now fill in the gaps in the structure to get to see how we use so that and such that. So, and the gap, and that. Such, and the gap, and that. Right, so after so, we use an adjective, and then that, and after such, we use a noun phrase, and that. Right? Let's practice now. Supply so that or such that in the gaps to get coherent sentences. Brands are a gap, expensive, a gap. Many consumers buy counterfeits. What do we have between the two gaps? Right, we have an adjective. So what do we use? Right, brands are so expensive that many consumers buy counterfeits. Second sentence. Counterfeiting has a gap, negative impact on business. A gap, many companies have launched advertisement campaigns against it. Now, what do we have between the two gaps? Right, this time we have a noun phrase, negative impact on business. So what do we use? Yes, this time we use such that. So the sentence is, counterfeiting has such negative impact on business that many companies have launched advertisement campaigns against it. The last sentence, fake medicines are dangerous. Gap, something must be done to eradicate them. This time, yes, we have an adjective also. So we are going to use, good, we are going to use so dangerous that. So our sentence will be, fake medicines are so dangerous that something must be done to eradicate them. Well done. Now we are going to move to the second activity. Combine the pairs of sentences together using so that or such that and make the necessary changes, of course. The first pair of sentences, imitations are of low quality. Consumers must refrain from buying them. Right? What do we have in the first part? Imitations are low quality. Good. Low quality is a noun phrase. So what can we say? Imitations are of such low quality that consumers must refrain from buying them. Let's move to the second sentence. Fake perfumes contain bad quality ingredients. Their fragrances do not last long. Look at the verb contain. What is it followed by? Bad quality ingredients. So it's a noun phrase again. So what shall we say? Right? Fake perfumes contain such bad quality ingredients that their fragrances do not last long. And the last sentence, counterfeit medicines are harmful. Governments are launching advertisement campaigns to prevent their consumption. What do we have this time after the verb? Right, we have an adjective, harmful. So what shall we say? Counterfeit medicines are so harmful that governments are launching advertisement campaigns to prevent their consumption. Right. Now let's deal with the second grammar lesson. Mr. Dahmas?
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil. When we come to speak, we may focus on the doer of the action, as in the active voice, or we may also focus on the action itself, as in the passive voice. Mrs. Ben Khalil will help you see the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. Mrs. Ben Khalil.
Okay, let's start. First, consider the sentences that we have in the table. Part A and B. First part. The police seized a large quantity of fake car parts. Counterfeiters copy all sorts of goods. Trademark owners are declaring war on counterfeit products. Consumers shouldn't purchase imitations. Do you think these sentences are in the active or passive? So complete the heading in the table. Now, have a look at the second part of the table. War on counterfeit products is being declared by trademark owners. Imitations shouldn't be purchased by consumers. A large quantity of fake car parts was seized by the police. All sorts of goods are copied by counterfeiters. Right. The sentences in column A are in the active, and the sentences in column B are in the passive voice. But as you can see, they are in disorder. Now what you're going to do is match the sentences in column A with the ones in column B so that we can compare between the active and passive sentence, right? The police seized a large quantity of fake car parts. Right? A large quantity of fake car parts was seized by the police. Second sentence. Counterfeiters copy all sorts of goods. B. All sorts of goods are copied by counterfeiters. The third one. Trademark owners are declaring war on counterfeit products. War on counterfeit products is being declared by trademark owners. And the last sentence, consumers shouldn't purchase imitations. Imitations shouldn't be purchased by consumers. What can we notice when we compare the active and the passive sentence? Right. The first thing we can notice, of course, is that the passive sentence starts with the object of the active sentence, as in the example, the police seized a large quantity of fake car parts, and we start the passive sentence with a large quantity of fake car parts. Then we go on with the verb was seized and by the police. Right? Let's now study each sentence separately to see the other changes. The first sentence, counterfeiters copy all sorts of goods. All sorts of goods are copied by counterfeiters. What does sentence B start with? Right? It starts with the object of the active sentence, counterfeiters. What tense is the verb to copy? Yes, it is in the present simple. So what did we add in the passive sentence? We added to be in the present simple as the verb to copy, right? And what happened to the verb to copy? Yes, it's put in the past participle. Now, we are going to complete the chart to get the sentence structure of a passive sentence in the present simple. Our sentence starts with a subject, then a gap, plus another gap, plus by and the last gap. Right? Let's correct our sentence structure. Subject plus to be in the present plus the past participle of the verb plus by plus the object. Let's move to the second example. The police seized a large quantity of fake car parts. What tense is the verb this time? Good, it is in the past simple. So the passive sentence will be a large quantity of fake car parts was seized by the police. Let's complete the chart to get the sentence structure in the past. Subject plus blank plus the second blank plus by plus the last blank. Right? Let's correct it. The subject is followed by to be in the past this time because the verb in the active was in the past, plus the past participle of the verb, plus by, plus the object. Good, let's move to the third sentence. Trademark owners are declaring war on counterfeit products. What tense is the verb? Good, it's in the present continuous. So our passive sentence will be war on counterfeit products is being declared by trademark owners. Again, let's complete the chart to get the sentence structure of the passive sentence when the verb is in the present continuous. Start with the subject, then a gap, another gap, plus by, plus the last blank. Let's correct it. Subject plus to be in the present continuous plus the past participle of the verb plus by plus the object. The last sentence. Yes? Consumers should avoid the consumption of fake products. How is the verb this time? This time it's composed of a modal, should, and it's followed, of course, by a verb in the infinitive without to. That is the stem. Let's see how it becomes in the passive form. The consumption of fake products should be avoided by consumers. Again, let's complete the chart to get the sentence structure with a modal. Subject plus modal plus a blank plus a second blank plus by and the last blank. Let's correct it. Subject plus modal plus be in the stem form, that is infinitive without to, plus past participle plus by plus the object. Right. Now that we have seen every sentence individually, let's fill in the gaps, to get the sentence structure in general in the passive form. The passive subject, which is the object of the active sentence, plus the blank in the same tense as the verb in the active sentence, plus another blank, plus the agent, that is by and the subject of the active sentence. Are you ready? Let's correct it. The passive subject, which is the object of the active sentence, plus to be in the same tense, remember, as the verb in the active sentence, plus the past participle, don't forget, so you have to learn your irregular verbs, plus by the agent, by the subject of the active sentence, that is the agent. All right? Now let's move to the practice, as usual. Rewrite sentence B so that it means the same as A. Some businesses are commissioning social audits. Social audits. And now you have to complete the sentence. Pay attention to the verb. Which tense is it? Are commissioning. Good, it's in the present continuous. So what did we say? We're going to add the auxiliary to be in the present continuous. Pay attention, it can be is being or are being. So pay attention to the word before. Social audits. are being, right? And the verb to commission in the past participle, it's easy because it's a regular verb. So our sentence will be, social audits are being commissioned by some businesses. Let's move to the second sentence. Social auditing is considered as the best way to promote products and services. Sometimes our sentence stops here. So you just understand that it is by some executives. What did you notice? Look at the verb. What is it composed of? Yes, this time it's composed of the auxiliary to be in the present and past participle. So is our sentence in the active or in the passive? Right, this time the sentence is in the passive and we have to transform it into the active. So we start by the past participle. We take the verb, which is the verb to consider. To be is in the present. So we are going to conjugate the verb consider in the present. And don't forget to transform the subject and object to change the place. So let's correct the sentence. Some executives consider social auditing as the best way to promote products and services. Good. Our last sentence. Our suppliers must not use child labor. And we are going to start the sentence or sentence B with child labor. Pay attention to the verb. Yes, this time we have a modal, must. Remember that after the modal, the verb is always in the stem form, that is the infinitive without to. So we shall add this time to be in the infinitive, that is child labor must not be used by our suppliers. That's all for our grammar lesson, Mr. Dahmas.
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil. I hope you have understood this lesson. I hope this lesson has been understood. The last part of our course today deals with sound system. Rhyming pairs. Rhyming pairs are words that have similar sound of vowels or consonants. Today we'll focus on last syllable rhymes. That is to say, words that end with the same sound, like wise and rise, effective and responsive, and package and damage. We're going to have more practice with Mrs. Ben Khalil.
Right? Let's practice now. Before we practice, let me just remind you that you have this type of activity at the back exam. So it's very easy, but just focus on the sound here. It's pronunciation. Listen to me and do the activity. The first list of words: counterfeit, forge, embezzle, integrity, prosper, stringent, and fake. The second list is smuggle, behavior, take, prohibit, accountant, challenge, probity. Let's correct now and see which word sounds the same as the second one. So this is why we say choose or match pairs that rhyme, that have the same sound. Counterfeit, yes, it goes with prohibit, the second one. Forge, good, it goes with challenge, have the same final sound. The third one, embezzle, to smuggle, right? Integrity with probity, right? Prosper matches with behavior, stringent with accountant, and fake with take. That's all for our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil. That was the last course about ethics in business. Next time, we'll start dealing with the third theme in your program, education. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Goodbye.